Hey, Pete, what's going on? What is going on? Man, y'all like competing for the first comment at this point. Y'all kind of neck and neck right now. You all usually first, second, and third. At least you have been the last few times. It's nice to know that somebody is getting my notifications because a lot of people don't. So that's nice. Good afternoon, Mike. What's going on? Who else wants a shout out? You know what? Somebody should start keeping tabs to see who gets first the most whenever I go live. It's probably because of the title. You know, as long as you don't mention Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, Russia, Julian Assange, Seth Rich, pretty much anything political whatsoever, then you usually get the notifications. It's kind of crazy. Wicked Guru. I don't get them all the time. It sucks. Which is crazy because if you have that notification bell turned on, you're supposed to get it like all the time. In fact, they even did a video about if you want to get all the notifications, you should. Jimmy actually covered that. Like you should turn off the notification bell, and then we find out that even with the notification bell turned on, I don't even get all the notifications for the shows that I follow on YouTube when I have the notification bells turned on. So I know you're not getting all of mine. Oh, I see what you mean. You said you haven't seen anything about tax cuts, the ones that I talked about, the 3.8 trillion. Are you referencing the video I just posted? James, what's going on? I appreciate that. I got to go to work today, so I need that $10 for gas money. So good luck. Guo Mashi, they're supposed to be sending you notifications. That's what they tell us anyway. Wow, yeah. Everybody, by the way, should be checking on that. They force people to unsubscribe from us all the time. I don't know if you've ever seen. I mean, I know Jimmy talks about it. Tim's talked about it a few times, but a lot of the times, I'm dead serious. As soon as we post a video, not exaggerating, we will lose 10 subscribers. As soon as we post it. Nobody even had a chance to see the video. And they're like, well, maybe people just didn't like the video. So, thank you very much. Welcome to the family. We're going to get started in about 30 more seconds if y'all want to share this. Would greatly appreciate it. All right, party people. Let's get this show on the road.
This episode has been brought to you by JustNForm.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to JustNForm.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. And I am, as always, as usual, your humble host, Niko House. As always, I do want to thank our Patreon subscribers. You are what helps to make this show stay on the road because, well, we just couldn't do it without you. We couldn't have grown without you, and we definitely can't continue to grow without your support. So if you have not yet, make sure that you go. You can donate, you can donate $100, you can donate $1. Literally all of it helps. And the more help we get from you, the more we can keep bringing you the objective, unabashed news, the real news from real people who are, like I said, if you know anything about the people on this network, whether it be BC DeGraff, Fiorella, Pasta, these people are in the streets. They're talking to other people. They're activists. They're not just speaking from behind a desk, talking about what you should be doing while they're, counting their checks. They're actually in the streets. So that always helps. Also, if you have not yet, make sure that you go to Roku and subscribe to us and join the first independent news network to appear on Roku. Other than that, make sure that you do have the super chat option. So if you want to have your comment read out loud during our show, and also to the people who will see this later on Roku, you can donate super chat. With that being said, I want to go ahead and get started. So, as most of you all know at this point, at least I hope so, Bernie Sanders did something pretty amazing. Somehow, some way, he went toe-to-toe with the richest man in the world, and he kind of won. Because Amazon raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, caveat, I know that is not enough. In my opinion, it should be $25 an hour. And in California, where a lot of his facilities and warehouses are, it should be closer to $30-35 an hour, to be totally honest with you. But literally, it would be like 1 billion of Bezos, 100 and God knows how many billions at this point, could do that 5 times over. Like, he would be perfectly fine. But 15 is a great start. Okay? It really is. And that was Bernie. It was, as far as politics is concerned, it was Bernie Sanders. I mean, he literally introduced a bill called the Bezos Act that probably scared the shit out of Jeff Bezos so much because, mind you, Bernie started talking about it, but then Trump jumped in, which means the Republicans were going to have to get behind him, which means the Republicans would have gotten behind Bernie Sanders' Bezos Act as well. So, of course, as many issues as I've taken with Bernie Sanders in regards to his rhetoric on foreign policy as of late, and even some of the issues I've had with his silence when it comes to endorsing candidates like Tim Canova, and even though I understand a lot of that, I understand the behind the scenes stuff that has prevented him from doing so. And I also understand that he's running for office in 2020 and is not trying to be he don't want to have that opportunity taken away from him, because he legitimately wants to do things like this, right? Make waves for the people. And although this isn't the 100% foolproof solution to the wage gap, I will never condemn or take away from a victory that is literally giving somebody an opportunity to put more food on the table for their family. That is always a victory. Doesn't mean it's the only victory that needs to be had, but it is always a victory. So, of course, on Twitter, I praised him. Why wouldn't I? As anybody and everybody should have. I said, yeah, this pretty much... Actually, I'll show you the tweet. I will show you the tweet. So I said, pretty much he deserved all the credit for it. I said, say what you want about the man, but we wanted him in office, which I think all of you should know by now, because of his history of getting the job done. So, the tweet did okay, better than I thought it was going to. And, give me 1 second. I had to make this bigger, y'all. I'm blind. Even with my glasses on, I'm blind. But it did better than I thought it was going to. But the issue then became that people, the same people who always have something to say about Bernie Sanders, decided to attack me for the statement, which I couldn't figure out. Like, how did you make this about taking credit away from Bernie Sanders rather than making it about, wow, I'm glad that he spoke up to make sure that people could put food on the table. That's where I thought the focus was. And this is a tactic that we've seen time and time again when it comes from the neoliberal establishment and the neoliberal trolls and the neoliberal shills and the Hillary-esque Democrats. They always will take an opportunity to minimize the contributions of Bernie Sanders. Because before, they just tried to totally ignore him. But that didn't work. Then they tried to ridicule him. And that didn't work. So they just said, screw it, we'll try to cheat him. But eventually, like it always goes, first they try to ignore you. Then they make fun of you. And then you end up winning. And Bernie Sanders is apparently Charlie Sheen winning, and neoliberals are not comfortable with that. So, of course, I responded with, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, clearly you have not been paying attention. Because I didn't think that he's going to take my tweet that literal. But he did. And so that's fine. So, he then said, oh, no, wrong tweet. I'll show you that one in a second. Essentially, he said after that we should give credit to the workers and the labor unions and protesters. I said, that sounds good, but you're pretty much just using this to deflect. You're trying to deflect credit away from Bernie Sanders because that's the last thing you want heading into 2020, right? Because if you've been watching the show, I know some of you all may have just started watching a couple of months ago, maybe even a year ago. But if you've been watching me since 2016, wow, that's a long time ago. If you've been watching me since 2016, what did I say? I said I don't like the decision that he made at that convention. I said it the next day. I said I don't like the decision that he made at the convention, and that's coming from somebody who was there witnessing it all. But what a lot of people didn't see, that I saw, because I couldn't take my damn eyes off of it, was when they tried to pan back to Bernie Sanders after he suspended the rules and allowed them to nominate Hillary Clinton. He didn't clap. He didn't say anything. He got up in the middle of everybody giving this roaring applause. And he got up, turned his back, and walked away. And immediately said, I'm returning back to being an independent. And that, amongst other things that took place at the convention, convinced me that he finally realized what he was dealing with and decided that he was going to run for office again. But that he was going to be prepared, that he was not going to give them a bone when it came to trying to take him down. And that the best way for him to do that was to concede and regroup, because that was a war, or a battle, I should say, that had been won for Hillary Clinton, at least in the Democratic primary election, 7 years prior. The moment that Debbie Wasserman Schultz was allowed to take over as DNC chairwoman, like, these things, I mean, y'all have no idea how much she was putting in place. Super PACs. Having people go into Bernie Sanders' campaign. People who were promised jobs 7, 8 years prior. So, like I said, I might not always agree with the tactic, but hey, It's his tactic, and if it eventually ends up working, I mean, look, who has to, if he would have thrown a temper tantrum that people have wanted him to, then he would not be able to do this. Catch my drift? The Democrats are now in a position where they need him. So, and although I will not be back in the Democratic Party ever, the people who are there will probably end up supporting Bernie Sanders in 2020. Or hopefully Tulsi Gabbard, but that's a different discussion. So, anyway. He responds because, remember, like I said, he said that the activists that have been talking about this, and I said the reason that I'm giving Bernie Sanders credit is because it's like this, right? Say if you fall in love with somebody, you like them from a distance. Every time you talk to them, though, they either ignore you or they're just not feeling you. You've tried and you've tried and you've tried. You're screaming at the top of your lungs. You're sending them love letters. You're tagging them in every tweet. You're sending them all of the memes you can think of. And they keep leaving you on scene. For my older folks, that means they're looking at your messages and they letting you know they're looking at them and that they are clearly ignoring you. That is essentially what we've been seeing in the labor movement as of late. I don't think anybody can deny that. Now, you became best friends with her best friend. And her best friend likes you for her. So, she said, hey, look, I don't know if you're good enough for my guy over here, but for some reason, he really likes you. So, give him a chance. Or when you lose that opportunity, I'm going to tell everybody that you dated that asshole instead of dating my nice best friend over here. Now, it's hard as that guy worked to get that girl's attention. Unfortunately, the reality of it is, if it wasn't for the catalyst of the in-between best friend, who was friends with both the boy and the girl, he would have never gotten an opportunity. That's pretty much what happened. And I even spoke on it saying that, NBC and people like Mr. Elon over here, they weren't speaking on these labor protests. It was Bernie who was amplifying them. And even if there was a casual article or two written about it occasionally, because that happens from actual reporters, Bernie was the one who amplified the labor movement. It's not news to anyone. Ask West Virginia, ask the workers at Disney, and now you can even ask the Amazon workers. And he said to me, with the utmost confidence, I had activists on my show, pause, that nobody knows about, continue, years ago, and covered this pretty heavily. You want to come back and try again? I'm also glad for the increase. What I take issue with was your taint licking. I don't know what that means. An erasure of the work. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I'm just like, give me a second. I want to make sure I get this right. It's a little far from me. We'll make sure what he took issue with is. He said that what he took issue with, my taint licking. I don't know what taint licking is, so someone has to explain that to me. An erasure of years of work to make this a national issue. What eraser? Did I erase years of work? But getting credit for a specific act is not the same thing as taking away credit from people who positioned us to be talking about this. So that's what he said. He said he had activists on his show, once again, pause, that nobody knows about, continue, and he covered it pretty heavily. You want to come back and try again. And that he's glad for the increase, despite the fact that he literally did not make it about the increase at all. Matter of fact, I went through his tweets and he pretty much didn't even talk about the increase. So, like, who is erasing years of work? And even still, who do you think have been fighting for workers this entire time? Like, I want to be very clear about that. I take much issue with Bernie's foreign policy rhetoric as of late, but I'm never going to take away from his domestic policy stances. Impeccable. The man knows the economy. Not only does he know our economy, but he understands the economies of others as well, other countries as well. Like, the dude has been doing this for a while. And so he says that I was erasing the work of others. And so I explained to him, this is my favorite part. I asked him very kindly. I said, oh, please tell me how you've had activists on your show, quote unquote, years ago to talk about this. I'd love to see the link because if I recall, Amazon didn't even start turning a profit until 2 years ago after a combination of subsidies from the government and In-Q-Tel Investments, which is the CIA's investment firm. Yes, there's that connection from the $600 million that went into, that went to Bezos that he used to then buy Washington Post. So I said that if they didn't start turning a profit until 2 years ago after a combination of subsidies and In-Q-Tel Investments. So the profit-wage ratio wasn't even an issue then. In other words, the discussion mostly had about the Amazon pay, specifically Amazon in this scenario. It's specifically Amazon is that Bezos is the richest single human being in the freaking world. Not even close, hands down. Like, it is despicable how much money he has and that his workers have to work in the conditions that they work in. Right? So not only that, but he's the richest man in the world, and the company itself was still getting tons of subsidies. And this is what sparked, if you all remember, the conversation with Bernie Sanders and Jeff Bezos, because Bernie started going at him on Twitter when he realized how many, because he's obviously there, like he's there when these subsidies are given. And when he realized how many subsidies were being given to Amazon, while Jeff Bezos was simultaneously the richest man in the world, not even close. You can take away $30 billion from him and he's still richer than Bill Gates. Okay? Like, the dude is stupid rich. And then simultaneously, the workers are being treated like trash. Not even being paid $15 an hour. So that's where the conversation came from. Otherwise, the unfortunate truth of the matter is, people would not be talking about Amazon and the wage problem because the media is discouraged from doing so. Because for all intents and purposes, Amazon, because of the Washington Post, is now the media. And Amazon sponsors a lot of the media. Is on network television a lot doing ads. And, you know, it's a give and take relationship. We know how the game goes. Politicians, more often than not, are not going to speak about this because they take money from Bezos. Because Bezos is an In-Q-Tel investor, which means he is a tool for the deep state. Just like Facebook was an In-Q-Tel investment, which means it is effectively a tool of the deep state, which nobody's surprised at anymore. So the reason I brought this up, clearly, in case you didn't know, was that he said he had people talking about Amazon wages in the context that we're discussing them today years ago. Like years ago. So I asked him to show me the link because I don't believe you. I would have loved to hear how that conversation sounded because I don't believe you had it. Because nobody was really discussing it at that point in time. We all had been generally discussing wages, but we had not, however, been discussing the wealth of Jeff Bezos because he wasn't a wealthy man yet. Jeff Bezos was a no-name. You get the difference? Just 2 years ago, Jeff Bezos was a no-name and Amazon couldn't turn a profit. And so it wouldn't have been as just totally and egregiously disgusting to have somebody worth hundreds of billions of dollars and then pay their workers like shit. That is where the conversation, if a small business can't afford to pay their workers more, or business in general can't afford to pay their workers more, that is an entirely different conversation than, bro, you can end world hunger and you're not even paying your workers correctly, despite all the work they have to do. So I know that you didn't have your people on the show to talk about this. So drop the link. So he wasn't expecting that bit. He wasn't expecting the bit where I, told him that no, Amazon didn't turn a profit 2 years ago. So I know you weren't talking about this. Because I asked him to drop the link, and instead, he decided to deuce out. He said, I can't do this. He said, you're out of your depth, and I'm not in the mood to play lifeguard. Stay blessed. You're out of... So hold on. You decided you want to try to play hero. Like you've just been Mr. Activist. I've been out talking about all these issues. Even had people on my show. Pause. That nobody knows exists. Continue. I even had people on my show talking about this very issue before it even existed. Because I am just that prophetic, apparently. That's how he feels. You're out of your depth. I say drop a link because you've made a claim that you've been discussing this after I said it's funny that y'all care about what's going on at Amazon and their workers now after Bernie Sanders is getting the credit that he deserves for it, because that's what neoliberals have been paid and taught to do. And all I say is, like we always do, right? We always say, for us progressives, for us truth seekers, for us who like to have bullshit verified, if you're going to try to sell me bullshit, just pretend like you got a link. Like, you don't got to be a link to anything. I probably wouldn't even have clicked on it. And he tells me instead, he didn't deny what I said. Notice that. You're out of your depth and I'm not in the mood to play lifeguard. Boy, who you? What lifeguard? Look like I'm saving your ass. Because you're about to look like a fool in front of all of Twitter. And your 75,000 followers that clearly don't follow the shit you're saying. Because if they did, you probably wouldn't have them. Because you're not really that smart. And of course, in true asshole fashion, unfortunately, I can be an asshole sometimes, I made sure he knew that I saw it and that he was essentially conceding victory, because I definitely said, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is how you shut down a neoliberal. And this is the truth, because if you introduce facts, they always fall back. Every single time. Every time. Because, hold on. So, the reason why is, and this is anybody who's on Twitter and could be watching this from Twitter right now, you know exactly how these discussions always go, especially with these verified neoliberals, especially with these verified journalist personalities. They go, if you get emotional and reactionary, that's what they want, right? Unfortunately, we saw Jimmy get baited into that. Because when they bait you, that's why they go back and forth with you, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they say a bunch of things that can't be proven, that can't be verified. And they want you to react to that. They want you to react to it. They want you to attack them. He wanted to debate. You see how he called me a taint licker? I don't know what that means. I really don't. But he called me a quote unquote taint licker. He was attacking me. And so what he wanted to do was bait me into emotionally reacting so that then he could dox me, post my tweets everywhere. Because there's definitely been a concerted effort to try and take down indie journalists over the last few weeks. And therefore, look at the Bernie bros again. Look at the Bernie bros. They don't know how to have an intelligent debate. That's what they do. You don't have to wonder if that's what they do. It just happened to Jimmy. It's happened to many people. But even though I am an emotional person, I really am. But I don't have to get emotional when it comes to the facts, especially when I know that you don't have them. And so I post this to let you all know when you're engaging with other people, don't just stop at the surface when you were doing your research, when you were educating yourself. Because every discussion you have, it wasn't even about him. It was about the people who were watching that hadn't formulated their opinion yet. Because the people who have made up their mind have already made up their mind. I wasn't going to change his mind, nor did I care about changing his mind. But there was somebody in his followers list who believed the nonsense that he was saying that hadn't quite made up their mind yet about how they felt about that particular situation. That probably was like, well, damn, I didn't even know that about Amazon. I didn't know that about Bernie Sanders. I didn't know about I don't know how you're not going to give credit to the man who created the Bezos Act, and then $15 an hour was created right after, not even a week later. But you have to use the facts. You have to use what you know. And the moment you use what you know, you don't have to rely on what you think. You don't have to rely on anecdotal evidence. When you talk facts, they will always, 100% of the time, fall back. I promise you. Now, as far as Amazon is concerned, that's a different discussion. But I want to just briefly say, but those of you you're not out of hot water. You're not. Your facilities are trash. I know you just got rid of bonuses as well. $15 is not enough. You are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. You'll be worth more by the end of the year. The more money your workers make, you would actually probably turn more of a profit, because any employee tends to shop the most at their place of employment when it comes to the retail industry. Anybody and everybody knows this if you've ever worked in the retail industry. I remember at Best Buy, I used to work at Best Buy when I was in high school, and it was something to the extent like we spent 40%, the average Best Buy employee spent like 40% of their income at Best Buy. So stop. Do the right thing. Bernie Sanders, good on you. Appreciate what you've done. All the neoliberals trying to say, stop giving credit to an old white guy. It's crazy to me. Y'all complain when white men don't do anything. Y'all really do. Y'all never stop. Y'all never shut up about it. You complain when they don't do anything. You say, you all need to be allies. You need to use your privilege to benefit those who do not have that same privilege. Then when the white guy stands up, uses his privilege, uses his position, uses his platform against the richest man in the world, you're like, why are we giving credit to the old white guy? Why aren't we giving credit to so-and-so? As an activist, as a person who's fought with the Fight for 15 movement, marched with them, yeah, I can guarantee that 98% of them will be like, oh my God, thank you so much, Bernie. Because it's not just the fact that they were speaking and no one was listening, but also the reality that no other politician was backing them to the degree that they should have. All these politicians talk about fair wages, living wages, because they don't want to, they don't want to use the actual numbers. I don't know why. Well, you know why. They don't want to be held accountable for their words. So they use these very loose, tangential living wages. As in, you can live just long enough to walk to the food stamp line and get food stamps, while Jeff Bezos has steak every night. But the man with the platform, who doesn't necessarily affect the outcome of these situations with his vote, because he's a progressive, therefore he will always be the minority for the near future. He uses that mandate that he got in 2016. This is why I always say we have to be, the reason and by the way, if you have not gone to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram post that she put up yesterday, read it. Go read it. Seriously, if you have Instagram, you can follow me too. Niko MCSC. Let me read that right now. I'm gonna put that up here real quick so y'all can follow that. Go ahead and put that right now. Y'all can follow me there on Instagram. Like my photos. But seriously, if you have not watched, or have you not seen Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram post from yesterday, man, look, go watch, go read that, and you tell me if that's not a genuine person. She admits the mistakes she made along the line. She says she's tired of people trying to pull her in one direction or another. She's just trying to do the right thing and learning how to do the right thing, every step along the way. Pretty much detailing what I talked about, which is she admits, like, I am young as shit, and I went from being literally invisible to save the world and do it my way. So, but the reason I bring that up is because the mandate for progressives is extremely important. The vote, not so much. Right now, the vote, it lets us know where they stand. The legislation even lets us know what they're willing to do and the effort they're willing to put forth to bring official attention to an issue. But there is nothing at all more powerful to Bernie Sanders, more powerful to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, more powerful to Nina Turner, Tulsi Gabbard, Dennis Kucinich, Jill Stein, Ajamu Baraka. There is nothing more powerful than the mandate you get from being on the right side. And when you use that mandate to go toe-to-toe with the giants, that is always something to be celebrated. And you should ask it, because if he didn't, that would have been used as an attack later. Why did he isn't done anything for the labor movement? Then when he literally is the only one to do something, what about all the other people? The whataboutisms, if you will. What about Hillary? She was in the park. She parked in a parking lot of a black church one time. Of course she loves black people. But Bernie, he wasn't with us, except for that time he got arrested literally protesting with us during the civil rights movement. Whatever, that was a fake picture anyway, bro. Once again, people, and I try to explain this to people, You don't have to agree with 100% of anybody. If you do, like the rabid Trump supporters, bruh, chill the fuck out. Y'all wildin'. He is not always right. At all. Like somebody I saw, dead ass, they made a Facebook post saying the wages went up because the economy is going freaking awesome. The unemployment rate is down. This is a Trump victory, not a Sanders. I said, holy shit, this motherfucker is delusional. It'd be crazy. You can't, there's no way that you can be an objective and genuine human being who is concerned with the truth and how to make the truth work in conjunction with moving forward if you 100% believe in an individual every single time. It is not possible. But, at least for me, you are just as bad if you don't want to give credit where credit is due. And the fact that neoliberals, we say that he's a sheep herder, not me, but there are people who say that Bernie Sanders is a sheep herder, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a sheep herder. You know who's a sheep herder? Do y'all ever see anybody attacking Elizabeth Warren ever, whatsoever, at all, whatsoever? Do y'all ever see anybody attacking her? You ever see anybody attacking Cory Booker? Have you seen anybody attack Andrew Gillum? Have you seen anybody attack Kirsten Gillibrand from the neoliberal left? And yet, you see people like Bernie Sanders attacked all the time. Even though we don't always agree with him in some of his rhetoric, he's being attacked because he's not on their team. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is being attacked and constantly set up because they are trying to take away her mandate because she is not on their team, and they found that out the hard way. Unfortunately for them, the questions that she had the first day she won, you should look at the sharp and stark contrast. It was, oh, wow, you're so amazing. Whoa, you like Democratic what? Oh, no. So we need to take that voice away from her. Let's just get her to endorse Pelosi. We know that all the progressives will hate her. So let's just keep asking her. But if she doesn't endorse Pelosi, then Democrats have every reason to take her down and drag her through the streets and make sure she never gets anything done in Congress ever. You don't think that's how it works? Oh, really? Ask Tulsi Gabbard. And that was after Tulsi Gabbard was on the DNC committee as a vice chair and she left. She had friends. She had a tremendous amount of influence and she had a constant influx before she opened her mouth and stood up for the right thing. And guess what happened next? They took away her funding. They threw challenger after challenger after challenger at her. They took her platform from MSM away. And now a lot of people who otherwise would have known who Tulsi Gabbard was do not hear about her unless they follow her on Twitter. That is what we do not want to happen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I'm not saying she should capitulate, but absolutely she should be careful. I want to know what those policies look like. That is what I am concerned with. The rhetoric is important, but the policies and the action is just as important. And that is why it is important to maintain the mandate, because it is not her vote that will get policies pushed through. It is her voice every time. Until the Congress, which may never happen, until it is a majority progressive, they will never have a vote that means as much as a Democrat or Republican vote. But their voice, because of that, is greatly amplified because they have this tremendous platform and they always stand out from the establishment. And that's what we need. And I will always give credit where credit is due in that regard. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Join us on Roku. If you're in LA, October 13th, at the Bernie Sanders Coffee Shop, I am doing a meet and greet. I hope to see you there, 8 p.m. Pacific. Be there or be square because you won't be around. Get it? A lot of y'all didn't know that's what be square meant, because you won't be around. Educating out here, dropping bombs. Follow us on Roku. Subscribe right now. We are like 4 subscribers away from 10,000 right now. So if you're watching, subscribe. Seriously, check if you're subscribed. You might not even be subscribed. Check if you have that notification bell turned on too, because you might not have it turned on. You think you do, but you might not. But Stephen Carl, hold up. Did you just ask me, did I ever come out to California? Was that sarcastic? So let me reverse that real quick. Steven, so I'm going to say that part again. So if you live in LA at the Bernie Sanders coffee shop on October the 13th, I will be there doing a meet and greet at 8 p.m. Pacific. And you can be there if you would like to meet me in here. We're going to talk about politics and all that good stuff. I want to hear from you all what you have going on so we can tell that story. And also, I want to tell you what I have in mind for some of this media activism that we've been doing. So, I hope that answers your question. Y'all be having me funny. Y'all are funny. All right, peeps. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And hey, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.